Hey, feel I'm in the mood for a switch up.
We need to talk. Of all the people that watch my videos, only 7% of you are subscribed. 7%. That's this many, alright? So what I'm gonna do right now is I'm gonna grab my skateboard. I'm gonna go up there and do a kickflip. If I land this kickflip, you have to subscribe. Subscribe or die. This video is gonna be a banger. If you like these videos, just subscribe. So today, we're gonna be learning about Leandre Sanders, aka the SkateGoat. You've probably seen him on Instagram. The guy kills it at Venice Beach. He's getting really big. Berrics says he's about to go pro. So today, we're gonna learn about his come up story, because nobody really knows anything about this guy. He's kind of mysterious, so. Alright, I'm just kidding, come on.
About to catch a flight, I need to switch it up. Got that black boy joy, might do my dance on him.
Alright, so the SkateGoat, Leandre Sanders. Where did this guy come from? Odds are, if you follow skateboarding, you've probably seen Leandre Sanders or the SkateGoat ripping Venice Beach skate park on Instagram. He's got a one-of-a-kind style, and honestly, you can't mistake him for anybody. But like I said before, people don't really know too much about him, and there's a reason for that. Today, we're gonna dig deeper and demystify the SkateGoat. Leandre grew up in Hawthorne, California, which is a sketchy suburb in the hood of LA. One thing that a lot of people do not know about Leandre Sanders is that he actually grew up with a lot of well-known, respected skateboarders. I mean, we're talking about Theodis Beasley, Louis Lopez, and even Antoine Dixon.
It started off at Hawthorne, just seeing like Louis Lopez, Antoine Dixon, Theodis Beasley. They was like this high when I met them, and I was like this, you know, so.
As a kid, he had practically no money because his parents were in and out of jail all through his childhood. So the only way that he could afford to skate was by getting old boards off of his friend Theodis Beasley.
And I used to just hit up like, yo, that's Theodis Beasley. I used to be like, yo, like, you got a used deck? And he was like, yeah, I got you. He'll always bring me a used deck. He used to always bless me.
Which makes sense because Theodis has always been about good vibes, very generous, very good guy. So he hooked it up for his boy Leandre. Leandre would skate Theodis' old boards until they would break, and then he would go back to Theodis, and Theodis always would hook him up with his next used board. However, eventually Leandre moved away from Theodis and all those guys to move to Venice Beach. That move to Venice Beach would eventually lead to him becoming the king of Venice Beach. As well, moving to Venice helped him to get his first sponsor, which was Dogtown Skateboards. The first time I ever heard about Leandre was 4 years ago, back in 2016. The Berrics did a video about him called The Man With No Stance, because if you didn't know this about Leandre, he actually skates tranny regular and skates street goofy. And when he skates regular on street, it feels like switch, and when he skates goofy on tranny, it feels like switch, which is pretty mind-blowing. I'm not aware of anybody else who has experienced this phenomenon. It doesn't really compute in my brain, but hey, that's how it is for him. Leandre grew up in the hood, and as such, not only were his parents going to jail, both his older brother and younger brother both went to jail. His older brother was in there for almost 10 years, from the time he was like 14 to the time he was like 24. When he would go to school, people were always trying to get him to join gangs. When he would ride the bus, there was a gang that would ride the bus with him. He was friendly to everybody, and eventually they tried to bring him into their gang, and they even threatened to hurt him if he didn't comply. Although Leandre was surrounded by so many bad influences, he just made the decision that he wasn't gonna go down that path. And so when that happened, he actually just stopped going to that school altogether. When he was 13, things were so bad at home that some nights he would just sleep at the skate park. It was safer for him to be homeless sleeping at the skate park than it was for him to be at his own home. Finally, when he was 13, his mom and dad were both in jail, and so the state took custody of Leandre. Eventually, he was adopted by this lady named Katie, who became like his new mom and gave him a sense of purpose and direction. She encouraged Leandre to skate and pursue skating, but she also made him go to the library and made him read about history so that he became educated. Despite all the challenges of sleeping at the skate park, Leandre himself says that he was blessed even to be able to sleep there. He's fiercely loyal to skateboarding because he says that skateboarding saved his life. Another thing you probably didn't know know about Leandre is that he lived in Australia for 2 years. When he was 17, he met this Australian girl in LA, and when she went back to Australia, he went with her to visit for 3 months. He liked it so much that he ended up moving there for 2 years, and that's why he dropped off the face of the earth after his video in the Berrics. Leandre said that skating in Australia was really good for his progression, and he was close to his shoe sponsor, which was Globe Shoes, which is an Australian-based skate shoe company.
I moved out there. I was sponsored by Globe.
Nice.
Globe Skateboard, and it was like I just thought it was a great idea to go out there. Like I was.
Do you still think it was a good idea?
For my skating, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, it was a blessing.
So it advanced your career probably.
Oh yeah, and best believe, like I want to go back there.
He said the experience completely changed his perspective on life because he was used to keeping his head down and ducking and covering to try and avoid all the negativity that was around him. But when he moved to Australia, he made all positive friends and became really friendly and outgoing and turned into the person that we know today that is all about good vibes and positivity. While he was there in Australia, he entered and won pretty much every single contest, and it got to the point that Australian skaters were getting tired of him winning everything and wanted him to go back home.
Skated every contest, and it was to a point where they was like, you know what, yo, American ass, you can go back to America.
And eventually they got their wish because after winning all these contests, the skateboard industry in the US took notice of it and he got invited to skate at the Tampa Am. While Leandre was in Australia, he actually ran into Rodney Mullen and they had a long conversation. Rodney Mullen is also sponsored by Globe Shoes, and so he was down in Australia visiting, and one day when Leandre was skating St. Kilda skate park, he saw Rodney skating and he wasn't sure exactly who it was, but he seemed familiar with his style. Finally it clicked for Leandre and he realized that it was Rodney Mullen. He went over and introduced himself, and it turns out that Rodney Mullen had actually been trying to link up with Leandre and skate with him because he was so fascinated with Leandre's stances. Rodney Mullen had been on a quest to skate with no stances, so obviously he was super fascinated by the man with no stance. So eventually Leandre left Australia, went back and skated the Tampa Am and started his career again in the United States. Leandre has consistently been killing it on Instagram, constantly putting out good content for people to enjoy. But one thing about Leandre that is completely unique is that he doesn't have any street video parts, which is absolutely mind-blowing. Because this week on the Berrics, they're doing a series about Leandre's 10 days to go pro. So in the next few days, I'm pretty sure that they're gonna announce he's gonna go pro for Death Wish skateboards. He might be the only pro for a mainstream board company that doesn't have any street footage. Like none at all, which is completely absurd, but it just goes to show that we are in a new era of skateboarding. I'm curious to know what you guys think about that, if Leandre deserves to go pro without having filmed any street video parts. In my opinion, going pro has more to do with how many boards you can sell than anything else. With Leandre's charisma and skating, if he came to me and wanted to start a board company tomorrow, I think we could start a successful board company. Leandre has enough personality to sell boards on his personality alone, but on top of that, he's unique in the way that he skates tranny one way and street another way. And both on tranny and street, he's extremely good and gifted on a skateboard. If you guys want to know more about Leandre Sanders, aka the SkateGoat, I'll leave a link to an interview that I watched in preparation for this video. It has less than 1,000 views on it, so not a lot of people have seen this interview, but he goes in depth with his childhood, and it's the most insane story. I would encourage all of you guys to watch because it is super inspiring. This guy has overcome so much negativity and so much hardship in his life, and he's just so grateful and just passionate about life. Here's this guy that had it so hard, and he is just gunning 100%, going for what he wants and trying to achieve his dreams. And honestly, that kind of stuff motivates me to chase my dreams more than anything. Like this video if you guys enjoy this kind of content. If you want to see more, subscribe, check out the rest of the channel, and leave a comment down below what videos you want to see in the future. Till next time guys, peace.
Let's go again, I'm sorry.